Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Juvo Hub podcast. We are so happy to talk about one of the most amazing, nerdy topics. I just get the shivers having someone who's been in the industry such a long time, Ellen Thompson, co-founder and CEO of ResPage, and we're talking about generative AI. Yes, artificial intelligence, with the perspective of not just talking about the technology as much, but how do you use it? Why? What are the whys behind embracing this technology? And how can you train yourself and how can you train your team, get them to embrace what has been a staple in the tech sector for quite some time and continues to grow? Ellen, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here today. How are you doing?
Great, Jonathan. It's really a pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, you've been around. Uh, we've seen, ResPage. You were mentioning to be before we hit the record button. You guys were the leaders in the industry when it comes to starting with forms of artificial intelligence using chatbot and so on. Um, it's an amazing. It's been an amazing ride to see what our industry is using technology and how they can continue to improve. But from your perspective, why should property management companies think about the benefits of artificial intelligence, generative AI, and how can they see right away improvements in their daily operations? What's your perspective?
So my perspective, what makes me so excited about generative AI and some of the products that we've developed and our competition is developing is it's really the first product where it is of value to all stakeholders. So it creates a better prospect and resident experience. It's great for on-site teams, and it's also great for owners in the bottom line. So it's the triple threat technology. It's really one of the first things where you make an investment and you can see the return right away.
I love it. I love it. So, how let's take it a minute towards the residents. So, one of the things that I've had so many past guests, they talk about there's the lack of time, lack of resources, the phone's ringing, there's emails coming in, there's maintenance orders that are trying to be cared for, maintenance requests, and so on. So, what are some practical things that you can see AI bring to property management? Like, how will it help make the residents happier?
So I think that from the generative AI perspective, most of the investment has been on the leasing side, and now we're starting to see more applications on the resident side. So there's generative AI, and then there's just general AI. So I think we've seen um, AI being used to automate communication. So, for instance, it's very simple, but I can bring in your birthday, and I can automatically send you a birthday notification. I can automatically send you a follow up to a maintenance request. I can send you an email 4 months before your lease expires to ask how things are doing. And do you have any maintenance requests that need to be taken care of? Is there anything else I can help you with before I ask you for more money? So there's generative AI, and then there's just general AI using automation. So I think that those things are already sort of baked in. But what's really interesting is how can we use AI really to predict that somebody's unhappy and to automatically reach out? So those are some of the interesting things that we and others are working on. It's really easy to automate communication. I think we've done a pretty good job of that. But one of the things that we're working on is using generative AI to, for example, during move-in, you want to know how to reserve the freight elevator or where you should put your boxes after you move in. So you can use AI to point a chatbot to or an email bot to a list of frequently asked questions to automatically answer those new resident questions. And then you can automate just tracking somebody's survey results, somebody's reaction, somebody's reviews, and you can start understanding and predicting how happy that resident is and how likely they are to renew. So resident AI runs the gamut from simple automation to analytics to really predict whether they're going to renew or not. To just, so it's just a lot going on right now, and some of them are using generative AI.
Very nice. And and my hope, I guess, is that our industry will take a quicker uh, hold onto this type of technology than what we've seen with other different types of technology over the last couple of decades overall. Because definitely, I see how much of a benefit we use it in our business for a bunch of different applications. So it's good. So this is the kind of thing that people think, well, this is just science fiction, and you get all kinds of. I'm sure you've had these conversations where are we are we jumping into an era where we're watching science fiction shows come to life? There's all kinds of different things that are out there, and I don't want to focus on one in particular, but I mean, I always think of one of my favorites is something like Star Trek or Star Wars, or there's all kinds of them, and that's what I see is like, okay, we used to use the term, 10 years or so ago, maybe a little bit more, predictive analytics, when we're trying to understand like what data we possibly could be have in our hands based on, other data sets and so on. But we're really morphing into such a more, it's, to me, it's way more fun. I love the concept of the fact of like, you can just say, give me my occupancy report and boom, it does this, or just, tell me how many tours we have today, so on and so forth. Everything is creating a much better experience for people on the operation side. So, but on the flip side to that, we deal with a lot of customer service for example, people trying to take online courses. And I'll give you an example. We still have people who they don't know what a browser is, or they're not sure exactly what it means to reset their password. Little things, and it's okay. Not everybody's a techie. This is not a. We all have our gifts, and it's okay. Sometimes tech is just not our best friend. But what are you seeing? I mean, you're deeper into this sector, this part of the industry. How is it going? Like, do you feel people are adopting it? What does the training look like for products that you guys offer, or just in general? What's the opt-in process look like?
So I think that there are a couple externalities that are impacting how quickly we're digesting some of these technologies. So I want to sort of take a step sort of higher up. And the reason that we got here was there's just more money that's been invested in property technology. And that we've been using AI forever. So we've been, LRO, I mean, that patent is 20 years old. So
Mm-hmm.
we've been using sort of predictive analytics for a long time. But I think when ChatGPT came out, it's sort of like when we had a browser for the web. I mean, the internet existed way before the World Wide Web, but all of a sudden, when it was easy for the consumer to get online, we had this browser that allowed us this gateway to the internet. And in the same way, I think ChatGPT sort of opened up everybody's minds to the possibility because it was so easy to use and so easy to digest. So I think that the things that are getting in the way of adoption, I think first are it's just macroeconomics. So right now
Mm-hmm.
we've had 2 years of phenomenal rent growth that has slowed down. I mean, it's just people can't afford houses. Wall Street Journal reported that we have more kids, more millennials, and more Gen Z folks living at home than since the 1940s. So we just see this lack of household formation. And even though people aren't buying houses, they're not moving there. They're just priced out. They're doubling up. And so you're not getting the rent growth, and you have occupancy kind of slipping. And so the money and the attention that would be towards new tech right now is towards like, oh, it's, we're basically, it's March 4th today. We're on the precipice of the leasing season. How do I make sure that I'm just not going to blow up my numbers? So there's much more focus on that. And I think it's sort of derailed, some of the adoption. I also think there are so many cool companies, and it takes time for folks to evaluate things. And, exactly when do you jump in? Was reading an interesting industry report by Don Beveridge that quoted one large owner saying, we tested 4 different companies. They're approaching AI in a very different way. And just because somebody's a leader today doesn't mean that's what things are going to look like in the long run. So I don't think we've kind of figured it out. So I think some owners also, we talked about training and sort of adoption. And I think that what ends up happening with all technologies, whether it's your training or whether it's our tech, So you have people sort of like in the corporate office that are buying these technologies, and then they're pushing the rollouts to the on-site teams without involving them. And so there's this resistance to anything that's new. And people are understaffed, feeling overwhelmed because they're understaffed, and so they're kind of resistant to change to begin with, especially when change might be that change is going to have them lose their job. So it's
Yeah.
no secret that there are companies like that are publicly traded that have been very forward about saying they're trying to centralize leasing. They're trying to reduce the number of headcount. They're picking up hundreds of basis points of profit in the way and when they do this. And so, it's understandable if that's the messaging a property manager or leasing agent is getting. Like, why do they want to, pave the way for their own demise? So I don't think we're going to see people lose their jobs, but I do think that AI is changing the nature of what is possible at a leasing office, and that at some point the compelling profit motivation of putting some of these technologies in is just going to drag people in. But it was a long answer to your question, but
But on a brilliant one. Yeah, no, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, thank you, Ellen. Um, yeah, and it was a positive message because you're right. There's always so much resistance to anything that's new, and there's the time constraint that many will say, "I just don't have time to learn something new." But on the other side, I'm sure there are many will admit that they are already using it personally. I think you touched on that in a couple of different ways. For instance, you just Google something right now, and what's at the top of Google is no longer just a keyword search return. It's AI driven. It's sentiment driven. It's basing what Google thinks you want to see. So they're testing out a few different, and I love it. I think it's great. Even with social media, okay, let's predict what you will like, and let's generate based on some algorithm that this is the kind of content that you're going to want to have delivered to you. So there's just so many facets of AI, and just in general where technology is going. We're just kind of scratching the surface of, for the purpose of this show, of where it can be used right now and how it can help our resident. And I think that leads to why, as industry professionals, we need to adopt it, because the expectation is the resident's going to want things delivered in that manner. And there are going to be, yes, that white glove approach to many things that will never, ever go away within our business, I don't think. But in general, there are some things where that's what the expectation is going to be for future residents as our industry continues to grow. Very, very cool. I love it. So tell us about ResPage. I know you have, like we mentioned at the outset, you're one of the industry leaders when it came to chatbots. So what are you doing now? What do you see continuing to grow for our industry when it comes to different types of AI driven products?
so I think the way that people are going to use AI is it's just going to infuse itself into the things they're already doing. So to give you an example, we've been doing review response for a long time. So somebody leaves a Google business profile review, somebody's got to address that. So that system's been in place since 2009. But now we can use AI and generative AI to answer the review. And oh, by the way, we can include in the prompt some messaging that will make sure that we're reflecting the brand. Don't ever say you're sorry. We can make sure we never say you're sorry. Want to include the phone number? We can make sure you're including the phone number. Want a serious tone? Not a problem. And so it's allowing us to make it much more effective to represent the brand, and it's also making sure that we're getting those review responses done more quickly. So that's just an example where every single review platform, it's just not us. Everybody's using that technology now. So it's just being pushed there. Or it was National Employee Appreciation Day on Friday. So I own two companies, just a long story, but the person who's the managing director of my other company wrote this beautiful employee appreciation note, and she emailed it out. And so I was like, wow, it's really beautiful. And so I copy and pasted it and changed it up and sent it off on ResPage. But she told me that she used ChatGPT to write it. She really didn't know where to start. I write blog posts, and I think what I have to say is important, but sometimes I can't get out of the gate. And so I now use ChatGPT, and it's not you still need original thoughts and you still need to edit it, but I'm spending about half the time creating content as I did in the past. And I think it's better content, and I can do the things that are interesting, which is think, rather than just having to sort of put a bunch of text together. So I think you can abuse AI, and you certainly need to make it your own, but it's definitely accelerating, how I work. And then that same thing can be for, on-site teams as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Kudos to you. Yeah. I'm with you. I was a little bit hesitant. I'm like, no, I want to be original. And I found ways to still be original and still get the assistance that I need, just dealing with back-to-back appointments and just dealing with business. It's just tough. Time is tough to find. And if there's some competitive ways to optimize time a bit, yeah, go for it. And so that's what our industry needs to embrace. And, you've been around in the industry for a while and well respected for your tech background. And so your insights are incredibly valuable to our audience. So I'm very, very grateful to have you as a guest on our show today. First time. Hopefully we'll get you again another time as things continue to change. So how can people connect with you? Tell us a little bit about ResPage, and how can people reach out if they want more information?
So company is ResPage, and pronounced that way. No, but that's kind of a whole confusion. So RESPAGE.com, and I'm Ellen T at ResPage.com. And what we're thinking about is, how do you take multiple point solutions and pull them together into an integrated all-in-one package and use the data between them to create sort of a super power tool for leasing and marketing, and also resident communication. So we have been around a long time. We're a bootstrapped company, and we have a lot of firsts. We had the first chatbot in 2017 and the first social and reputation platform back in 2009 for multifamily. But as a bootstrap company, how do you compete? So what we decided to do was think about, how can we get all of these tools to play nicely together? And we built an AI leasing system. We built a CRM. And so one of the things that we've been working on is predicting occupancy and predicting happiness and likely to renew of individual residents. And we can now do that with a 78% accuracy. So you can't do that unless you're thinking about the whole leasing life cycle in one unified platform. So we're just at the beginning stages. What I love about my job and what I do professionally is I learn something new every single day, practically. And we're going at this very fast pace. And we're really, it's in some ways, it's for a tech company to be around this long is unusual, but there are a lot of startups. The environment for startups and raising money has really changed. And so I think, part of the issue that we have right now is a digestion issue. There's so many great things to implement. So we're in the lucky position that we sell 10 things. So there's always something that people are looking for. So I'm very grateful I love being in the industry. I've met so many amazing people. I'm just really blessed. My friend Mary Hauser was working for Aimco, and I was kind of between things, and she introduced me to the concept of ILSs in this industry. And I'm just forever grateful that I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you so much. Yeah. Everyone, please check out respage.com, RESPAG.com. That'll be in the show notes as well. Yeah. You and Jackie and the team, you're very, very well respected. It's a pleasure to know you, pleasure to have known you for quite a few years too now. So I'm glad that we're able to finally get you on the show, and appreciate your time today. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Make sure you check us out on all your various podcast stations. We appreciate you being here today. Until next time, class dismissed. Take care.